So yeah, I wasn't on the call, but I got the recording. I listened to the recording, and basically, I just love the fact, I mean, that as far as setting the expectations or at least altering them up front, I think goes a
Yep.
long way because it makes sense. Basically, even if we have a successful transaction or what we want out of a transaction, it could be what the borrower expected, and they don't really remember you as doing anything special. So I think by
Nope.
letting them know the challenges up front, I mean, you can have a kick-ass transaction, and then they're just like you don't even get a thank you. But if you let
Right.
them know up front, what you're doing for them, and make them aware of the challenges you could face, again,
Right.
they're prepared if something does come up, and if things
Right.
don't come up, then you're a superstar. So
Spot on, brother. Spot on,
yeah.
man. It's so cool. I mean, we too, I mean, if you really think about how much stress, if you rank stress from 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, on average, where does your stress level in a transaction fall?
One day, on a Tuesday it'll be a 2, and then Wednesday it'll be a 10, and then
Yep.
Thursday it's a 2 again. Like
Yep.
day to
Yep.
day, it just changes. It's like one day you'll have problems with every file, and then the next
Right.
everything's going smoothly. So
And
yeah, it's
and when
definitely a roller coaster that you want to try to balance out.
and when do our clients understand what happens behind the curtain? Do we ever let them behind the curtain?
No, barely ever. And when
No.
you do, it's kind of like late, and it sounds like an excuse to cover up
Ah,
some, the
bingo.
shit that you're encountering. Yeah.
And you couldn't have hit it more on the head than that. Exactly. The reality for us is that this business is not about details of loans. This business is about managing our clients' fears and expectations. It doesn't mean that we ignore the reality. It doesn't mean that we don't tell them the truth. And it sure the heck doesn't mean that we don't invest the truth into our clients. Because all it does is it promotes us. No matter what you say, if you say nothing, you literally will lose out no matter if you do a great job or if you do a poor job. If you create the expectation in the beginning, it actually amplifies you. Correct?
Yes.
And if you understand that your role in being a loan officer, so I don't know if you've been on the calls when we talked about this or not, but there's two functions that we play in this business. We're a loan officer and we're an originator. We wear two different hats almost simultaneously. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, of course.
What's the difference between a loan officer and originator in your mind?
I'd say the loan officer is more about the actual transaction, and then the loan officer is about the relationship
Right. The
building.
originator is about the relationship. The loan officer is the one that pushes the paper.
I meant, yeah, loan. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So if I told you that you could actually achieve all of your value of getting business from your clients and creating stronger relationships with your realtors and your referral partners by doing both at the same time, would you like to understand how that works?
Yeah, of course.
It all starts with the initial consultation. This intro of when you build rapport and the permission to reject and the triangle of trust, and then the you're going to hate me conversation and agreement to work together. Have we gone over that yet?
No, I mean, basically just touched on it like last week as far as,
Okay.
the
Okay.
initial consultation is where you set all the expectations, and then you have to
Okay.
be the
Perfect.
reference to them.
That's what I thought. That's what
Yeah.
I thought. Awesome. So do you think that your clients see you differently than the way you see you?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they do.
Do you think they have a positive or negative opinion of you overall? I mean, yes, you're a good person. Yes, you're a good man, all that fun stuff. But do they think of you as a loan officer? Does that carry a positive or negative tone, do you think, or a negative frequency generally?
I would say positively, at least those that are working with me, they're for a reason, right? So,
Let's not talk about the ones that are working with you. I'm talking about the ones that you're just meeting for the first time.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I would know. I would hope positive, but I have no idea. Yeah, I would.
Okay. I would think, and let me read you, I don't know if I brought in the article, but I got to read this to you. It's really kind of funny. Well, I guess I took it. Oh no, I didn't. It's right here. So I read an article that was in a magazine, and it's funny how things just show up when you open yourself up to it. This is kind of an interesting thing. So here's what the article says. There's a company out there called AMCI, and their number one goal is to improve the image that the auto manufacturers have and the dealerships have with the consumer. Service managers, when you go into a dealership, even the car that I drive a BMW, and they always refer to the BMW dealership as a stealership. It's like they overcharge you for the simplest thing.
Yeah.
So this company, AMCI's goal is to create a better rapport. And here's what they found in their research. According to the survey, the intensity of trust is based on a feeling of being special, a feeling special in receiving personalized, respected treatment, regardless of the location, regardless of the brand, regardless of the cost. When compared to other industries, automakers fare slightly better than telecom, government, media, healthcare firms, mortgage services, and department stores.
Wow.
So what that says to me is that we are on the low end of the totem pole when it comes to the way that people view us.
Yep.
So I don't like that. I think I hated that.
Worse than a car salesman. Damn.
What's that?
I'd hate to be looked at as worse than a car salesman. That's for sure.
Well, so when you sit down with your clients for the first time, or you talk to them on the phone for the first time, what do you think is going through their mind within the first 30 seconds of talking to you?
I mean, right up front, I don't know if they're thinking more about me or, how the process is going to go out, like, play out pretty much, or, if they're going to be qualified for the home that they want,
right.
Stuff like that.
They're thinking, do I like him? And do I trust him? And when is he going to sell me?
Mm-hmm.
That's what every consumer thinks when they pick up the phone and they talk to people like us. They're expecting to be sold. They're expecting to not understand everything. And they're trying to decide if they like you or trust you because they can't figure it out any other way. Would you agree?
Yeah, sounds about right.
So you and I are on the same page when I say we have a very limited amount of time to create a first impression.
Yeah.
Which speaks to the power of a referral versus a lead. True?
Yes.
Okay, so working with a referral makes it infinitely easier to have conversations like I'm about to have with you, but it also works when you're dealing with somebody who wasn't referred to you either. I don't know if you deal with leads and you buy leads or not, but this whole presentation works both ways. And I'm recording this call so you don't have to feel like you got to take notes. I want you to really engage with me in this, okay?
Okay.
So if we're on the same page and it really comes out as we are, for a lack of a better term, a tool. We are simply a mechanism that allows people to go from point A to point B and allow them to buy a home. That's how they view realtors. That's how they view lenders. They don't view lenders as being different than one another. They have their own opinions, but generally speaking, when you get down to the functionality or the tactical side of our business, they don't believe that we're any different than the next person. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Okay.
See, I don't believe my process, my system, the way I communicate, the time and my experience, and the knowledge that I have and the way I deliver it and the overall experience that I create for my clients is just like going to Bank of America or going to a credit union.
Okay.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that it's a little bit more personalized.
Okay. Well, there's going to be your greatest struggle, my friend, right there. You have to make the commitment to yourself and understand that going through a loan process with Bank of America is nothing close to going through a loan process with the Hossinger team.
All right.
And I would challenge you to find out why. Okay? Because the presentation that I'm about to give you is the definition in your consumer's eyes of why you're different. All right?
Okay.
See, we have to create a relationship with somebody in a very short period of time. We have to connect and have rapport with these people in a very short period of time. Otherwise, they're going to continue to shop and search out the product and the program that appeals to them and take that choice based on who is delivering it. The actual mortgage is the same. The product is the same, okay? It's like saying a burger from McDonald's is the same as a burger from Chili's. Would you agree with that?
No.
Why? It's still a hamburger. Still comes from the same part of a cow. What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, they have
two
their,
buns, cheese, burger.
yeah, I mean, they're pretty
pickles.
similar, but they have their own little, I guess, unique traits. But yeah, they're pretty close. But
Really? So
just
why does
different
Chili's
flavor.
charge $7 for a hamburger and McDonald's can get away charging 99 cents?
Oh, there's more quality.
Okay.
At
What do you
least
mean
they
by quality?
at least they market that and present that.
Okay.
Well, it's supposed
So
to
you
be
think
fresh beef, better beef.
possibly. Are you do you actually do you get serviced at a Chili's or do you get serviced at a McDonald's? Like which one is the more appealing experience?
Oh, definitely a Chili's.
Okay. All right. And if you were to close your eyes and ask yourself if you had $10 to spend on food, would you go only spend $1 on a burger, or would you go spend $6 on a burger someplace else?
I'm like totally. So when you were mentioning Chili's and I was hearing like Wendy's and McDonald's, so I was like, hell yeah, it's the same thing. Like maybe Wendy's is a little bit better. So now I totally, Chili's is a completely different environment. It's maybe
Yep.
the same product, but it's definitely, a different total experience.
It's like getting in a cab versus a limo, right?
Yeah, for sure.
4 doors, 4 wheels, a driver, and a back seat. But it is an infinitely different experience. True?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So Bank of America is what? And you are what? Which one would you connect the dots to? Are you a cab or are you a limo?
I would be the limo.
So it goes without saying that in your heart and in your mind, you believe that your clients would prefer to go in a limo versus a cab 9 out of 10 times.
Yep.
So how do you convince somebody to get into your car when what they see is 4 wheels, 4 doors, a driver, and a back seat? That's powerful, right?
Yeah,
Like
for
how do
sure.
you answer the lifelong question of why should I use you? Why should I go with you? And if you're standing outside your car and neither of them can see what's behind the door or behind the cloth, and all they see is a driver in a car behind you, and they can't make out what it actually is, how are you going to convince them that you're the better option when the guy next to you is yelling, well, my fare is only $10, my fare is only $10, my fare is only $10? What are you going to say that's different when a customer walks up to you and says, so he's charging $10, why would I want to use you? It's a hard question to answer, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So what would you say? If the guy next to you is saying, I'm the cheapest, I can get you there the fastest, and you know what, I can take you right now. If that's all the information that's being thrown around, what do you say to the person when they're hearing the other stuff right next to you?
Well, I mean, yeah, my only, if they're already being sold by everybody else, I would do my best to just come off as more of a consultant, that, trying to advise them,
Okay. So
help them.
how do you come across as being a consultant?
I guess just,
It's hard. It's hard to
yeah,
answer, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
When you
Just
really put
limited
yourself in
time,
that
for sure.
position, there is very, very little room for error. But more importantly, it requires you to be exquisitely articulate in order for them to connect with you. So it begs the question that unless you want to go into a price war with the guy next to you, you're really going to have to find a way to communicate your value effectively, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if I could teach you how to do that, it would be worth your time.
Of course.
Why would it be worth your time?
I mean, just to be better at what I do, so I can, just have a
Right.
more successful, career.
Wouldn't you like to work with people that respect you and appreciate what you have?
Yeah, I mean, I would think it would be, just infinitely, beneficial to me as far as just making, transactions going smoother, communication going smoother. I mean, if you don't have that, like feeling, or that client doesn't have the feeling of trust in you,
Mm-hmm.
then it just makes our jobs a lot harder when any issues do come up, or you just
Right.
want to make sure that they understand you're doing right by them, and it's not that
Mm-hmm.
easy all the time. A lot of times.
It's not. It's not. And so if I could teach you how to do that while at the same time teaching you how to create new business opportunities for free, that would actually make it even like the icing on the cake, right?
Yep.
So now I got your attention.
Yeah.
All right. It's really simple. The first part of your presentation, now this applies to, I don't care if you do your conversations with your clients over the phone. I don't care if you consult with your clients over the phone or you meet with them face to face. This is 100% necessary to implement into your transactions every single time, no matter what, okay?
Okay.
The first conversation that comes out of your mouth is the building rapport. So that's bullet point 1, build rapport. And how you do that is pretty awesome. How do you build rapport with somebody? Like in the first couple minutes of meeting them, how do you build rapport? What do you typically say?
I mean, I try to take in as much as I can visually, the way they're talking, what they're saying, what they're wearing, how they're dressed, any accent. I try to just get a good, as much
Mm-hmm.
information as I can from, a few seconds, to see if we have anything in common. Just be nice and, take
Okay.
the conversation as it goes based on what they come.
If I could, so I'm going to teach you how to get them to sing your praises and for you not to have to say it yourself. How powerful would that be?
Yeah, tremendous.
Okay. So your last client, Chris, where did it come from?
Realtor.
Okay. So you know what? Better yet, I'm going to use the Aaron Hossinger and connection. So we've gone over what the triangle of trust means, haven't we?
Yes.
Okay. So, so I'm going to ask you, Chris. So you and I are in a conversation, and you called me up because you're coaching with me, so it applies. So my question to you up front, I don't know if I asked you this or not, was so you had a great conversation with Aaron, and he must have said something about me to you that made you feel compelled to want to talk to me. What did he say?
No, basically that this would be, very beneficial for me. He would really
Okay.
help me in my approach, and just
Mm-hmm.
getting new business, maintaining business, and then building my referral sources.
Right. And he thinks that I'm pretty good at doing that, right?
Yep.
Oh man, I love Aaron. He's by far one of my most favorite people to talk to, and I think he's an amazing leader of the team. And he and I have had multiple conversations, and I think he really understands how valuable my conversations are. And I'm honored at the chance to be able to work with somebody like you. So that's fantastic. So Aaron had said all those things about me. So end of the bullet point 1. So here's what just happened, whether you realize it or not. I asked you a question about what somebody else told you about me, and you told me everything that was relevant to you. You started talking about me in a positive manner, which elevates your endorphins in your body, so you start to feel better. You inherently start to feel more comfortable with me, and from there, I can bridge the gap with anything because you and I have built an instantaneous relationship within a matter of 30 seconds. Every time you meet with a client, you can say hello, the weather, blah, blah, blah. When you sit down to engage with your client to make that connection, the first thing out of your mouth has to be, so you were referred by Aaron Hossinger. What did Aaron say about me to you that made you feel comfortable in talking to me? And sit back and listen. And take notes, because what they're giving you is the roadmap to what it is that's important to them. Pretty slick, huh?
Yeah, of course. You know, if like, so what happens if somebody really, they're like, I don't, they just said you can help me, like to call you, you'd help me, and there really is, and it ends right there, then you don't really have much to go off.
Right. Well, they said they could help you. So what you then do is you connect the dots with the relationship that they have with the person that said that you could help me. Because obviously, if somebody said that you could help them, they know you, they like you, and they trust you, right, Chris?
Yeah.
That also means that if that person's calling you, they must know, like, and trust the person that said that you could help them, right?
Yeah.
So then you dig into, so what was it? So how do you know Aaron? Like, how did you guys meet? How did you guys even get on the subject of a mortgage? That's one of the most powerful questions when you don't get enough information. Like, what happened that you and Aaron got on the subject of mortgages? I know you guys are best friends, but I mean, how did you guys start that conversation? And you'd be amazed at when you ask the question of how did you guys get to talking to mortgages, how much more information they share. And then all you do is amplify the relationship that the client has with Aaron. So in this case, Chris, man, that's one of the best qualities about Aaron, man. He is so connected with the people that he chooses to work with, and he cares about the people that he works with at the highest level. And, you know, it's a great quality about him, and that's one of the reasons why I like working with him, because he's such a great person. And you undoubtedly would go, yeah, for the same reasons. Do you see how all I'm doing is replaying it in a different way? The same things that you said about me to Aaron, or what Aaron said about me to you?
Yeah, for sure. I
There's
could definitely
bullet
see
point.
just in, yeah, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
So yeah, there's bullet point one. You no longer have to start trying to figure out what to say. You don't say anything. You
Hmm.
ask the question and let them talk. And what you're getting is vital information from ground zero on how the rest of this is going to get built. You follow me?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I definitely think that, I mean, that easily, you know, pretty quickly solidifies, you know, relationship and kind of like, because building the rapport is all about, you know, like feeling comfortable with somebody and them sort of lowering their walls. And I think that gets you halfway, if not more, the way, like all the way.
More than halfway.
Yeah.
And it happens very quickly, right? Because we don't have a lot of time to make this work.
Yep.
Okay. So bullet point two, I call the permission to reject. And the permission to reject is really this. It's where your mindset comes out. Chris, I think it's vitally important that you understand who sits on this side of the table as you go through this process. I'm going to learn a lot about you. I'm going to learn a lot about your family, the side of the bed that you sleep on, your blood type, all that stuff, which you don't share with a lot of people. And I take that job very, very seriously. But my business is built very differently than most loan officers and originators in the industry, and that is that I built a business where my business is 100% referred to me, and that means that I'm extremely selective on the clients that I take on. And it doesn't mean that I don't want to work with everybody. It just means that I have to first find out if I can meet your wants, goals, and needs. If I can't meet your goals, wants, and needs, I want you to understand that I will tell you that up front. And the reason I want you to know that is because my relationship with Aaron means everything to me. And I can only honor his relationship by doing right by you. And it does mean that at times I'm not the best answer for everybody, and I get that. But you have to understand that the whole purpose of this meeting is to figure out what your goals, wants, and needs are, so that at the end of it, I can determine if I can meet them. And then more importantly, you can determine if you think I can meet them. So when this meeting is over with, I want you to be totally okay with saying, Doug, I don't think you're the right person for what we're trying to accomplish. But in the same response, I want you to know that I'm doing the same thing. And I want you to be okay with, if I come to the conclusion that I can't meet your goals, wants, and needs, I may tell you that I'm not the best person to work with. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Why do you think the permission to reject is so important? What did you hear me say?
Well, the fact that you want to, that's where, I mean, you really seem like you're trying you want to help them in the best possible manner. And basically, if you can't, you'll go your separate way. And that's the best thing for them. You're not trying to sell them on using you. It's basically, hey, if I'm not right for you, you can go elsewhere. I don't need this. If we're right for each other, let's do it. If not, then I would advise you to go elsewhere. And that's the best thing I can do as being a professional.
Every consumer is waiting for you to sell them. Every consumer believes that there's a sales pitch coming. That's what makes them anxious. That's what makes them uncomfortable. That's what raises their anxiety level. This takes it from a seesaw where I'm on the fat end of the seesaw and they're on the shallow end of the seesaw, and I'm sitting on the ground and they're way up high. What the permission to reject does, the want versus needs you, takes it and it balances it out. That means for those clients who are afraid, they don't have to be anymore because I'm going to do what's right by them. For those clients who believe that they control the situation, who believe that they're the ones that are in the driver's seat, they're the ones that actually believe that I need them more than they need me, I dispel that completely by telling them, I'm also going to determine if you're a good fit for my branch, my business. And at the end of this conversation, if it doesn't look like it's going to be a good fit, I will tell you that and point you in the direction that I think is best for you.
Yep.
Pretty powerful, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense.
So the first two, I've gotten them to sing my praises, and now I simply told them that I may not be a good fit and that we are playing on a level playing field.
Yep.
The next part of the conversation, bullet point 3, is the triangle of trust conversation. I alluded to it a little bit on the last bullet point, and so what I do then is I circle back around with it. A minute ago, Chris, I had said that, Aaron's relationship with you is vitally important to me. See, I believe that my business model works around this thing called the triangle of trust. See, I'm down here at the bottom in the bottom point. You were up at the top left, and Aaron's at the top right. If I'm able to honor your wants, goals, and needs, regardless if I end up doing a mortgage for you or not, because that's not what's important to me right now. If I'm able to honor your wants, goals, and needs, what would end up happening between you and Aaron? And they usually look at you with a confused look, and I go, well, more than likely, you'd go back to Aaron and say thank you because you got the right advice, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. See, I believe that my number one goal with you today is that you go back to Aaron and say thank you. Regardless of what else happens, my only concern is that you go back to Aaron and say thank you. So for me, honoring your wants, goals, and needs is the only thing that's important to me. And the cool part is that if I'm able to do that for you and you go back to Aaron and say thank you, obviously my relationship with you has been strengthened because you can trust me. But the byproduct of this, which is why this triangle of trust is so important, is that my relationship with Aaron is now amplified. He's getting a call from you saying thank you, which is awesome, because if you've never gotten a call from somebody thank you for helping them, it's an amazing feeling to get. And every person has had that experience happen to them, so it's relatable. You follow me?
Yep.
So now I've gone from building the rapport, permission to the reject, reiterated and created the image of the triangle of trust so that yet again they see that it is not about me, right? You're starting to sense that. I'm not putting myself in the position where it's all about me. I'm putting them in the position where everything that's going to happen today is only going to be about them, and I'm proving it to them in all three of these categories so far. Yes?
Yeah, definitely.
Is this similar to the way you present your presentation to your clients or not at all?
I mean, if I have done it, it would be like subconsciously, I would not be like, no, this is not, yeah, definitely.
This is deliberately nothing like you've ever presented to a client.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you and I were sitting in front of a client, you had your meeting with them and I had my meeting with them, and we work for the same company, who do you think has a better chance of getting that client to work with them? You or me?
Yeah, you for sure.
Why?
Just because, I mean, you pretty quickly can get them to, let their guard down and feel comfortable and know that you're
I
looking
can
out
get
for
them to
them,
fall in
which
love
is,
with me. I can get them to fall in love with me and not even realize it.
yep.
The first 3 points is what I consider the flirting stage. I'm flirting with them. I'm giving them a
Okay.
little taste of what it is that I'm capable of. I'm getting them to like me. I'm getting them to appreciate me, and I'm getting them to see that it's not about me. See, by making it not about me, I'm really making it all about me.
Yep.
And they end up thinking that way for themselves, and they don't need me to tell them. You follow me? Like, I don't need to tell them to like me. I'm telling them what's important to them and why it's important to them and why it's important to me. And at the end of that, they're like, well, yeah, I feel so much better. This is exactly what we're looking for. I can trust you. Right?
Yep.
Now, you go into what most loan officers never address. So after I get done telling them the triangle of trust and I get them to buy into me, I say, listen, part of being in this business is creating proper expectations for you. And as we embark on this process, I want you to know that there's going to be a point in the process, if we choose to work together, that you're going to hate me. And the clients and I always used to laugh. They still laugh. They think it's so funny. When you literally throw yourself under the bus, it creates humor and it minimizes fear on their behalf, and it creates an instant vulnerability, which begets vulnerability. Let me say that again. The more you can throw yourself on the ground, and the more you can the more you can throw yourself on that sword, the better off you're going to be, because the more vulnerable you are, the more vulnerable they'll become. So I literally tell my clients, at some point in the process, you're going to hate me, and that really piques their interest because they've never had somebody tell them that they're going to hate them before they actually hate them. And why do you think I say that to them?
Just let them know that there may be points that things do, it won't go completely smooth, or
it goes back to the conversation we had last week. Setting that bar of expectation up. I tell them, Mr. and Mrs. Client, there's literally going to be 100 things that can go wrong. I want you to know this up front, because buying a home is not easy. Frankly, it's probably one of the most difficult, stressful, and anxious processes you will ever go through. My team and I do an exceptionally great job at navigating through 95% of them, but there's always going to be things that are out of our control that show up that we just don't know about. And here's a list of the 100 things. It's kind of like flying in an airplane. When you get on an airplane, the pilot can't promise you no turbulence, and you appreciate the fact that he tells you that there's expecting some turbulence at, from here to where you're going, and he will let you know when there's going to be turbulence, so you kind of expect it. So if you choose not to get up out of your seat, then you don't choose to, and if it means that you get up and wander around and sit down when the seatbelt light comes on, you do that as well, but you're mentally prepared for it. Well, that's kind of the way I run my business, is that I believe that if I don't tell you these things, they're bound to happen. It's kind of like that Murphy's Law. No matter what I do, it never fails that if I don't tell you it's going to happen, guess what? It's going to happen. But if I tell you it's going to happen, then if it doesn't happen, then everybody's happier for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so here's the list. So just understand that as we navigate this process, if we choose to work together, you see how I keep reiterating that. If we choose to work together, if we choose to work together, I want you to know that my team and I, this is kind of what we do behind the scenes for you. And so we have a great time. We laugh about that, and they're like, wow, I never thought in a million years that there was that much stuff that could go wrong. And then I bring it home to the final point. So we've got building the rapport, permission to reject, triangle of trust, you're going to hate me, and then the final one is the agreement to work together. Mr. and Mrs. Client, if we choose to work together, if you're comfortable with the way that I do business, I want you to know that I have 2 expectations out of my clients. I'm going to deliver on everything that we come to terms with today. I'm going to, and my team are going to work diligently to make sure that this process is 100% referable, meaning I want you not only to go back to Aaron, but I want you to become an advocate of our business. I want you to feel compelled to tell somebody who you care about us. And the only way that I can do that is if after our meeting, we come to the point where I know that I can meet your goals, wants, and needs. If we choose to work together and I can deliver on those expectations, I'm going to need your commitment for those two things. One, that you'll go back to Aaron and say thank you. And two, that as you go through this process, as you talk to the people you care about, you won't keep us a secret and you tell them about us and how good of a job we're doing for you.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Oh, yeah.
That's your opening dialogue with every client every time.
All
Is that
right.
powerful?
No, oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that pretty much gets everything in there. It lowers the walls, gets them comfortable with you, basically makes you levels the playing field, and, lets them know, the expectations too, that anything can come up at any point, and basically that you're there to work together to get this done. And then
you get them to commit to wanting to refer you, which is vital. If you can get them to refer you during the process, how much easier are these conversations?
Oh, boy.
How much?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
So much. Oh, yeah.
It changes the game, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
You work with people who like you. You work with people who trust you. You work with people who want your help. It isn't the call as prove to me that I want to work with you. It's, hey, can you help me? No longer is it, why should I work with you? It's, how can you help me? Who would prefer to work with those conversations? Hey, Chris, this is Doug. Can you help me out? I'm trying to buy a house, and my best friend said you were the best. Or, hey, this is Doug. You know what, Chris? Can you tell me a little bit about you and why I should use you? Two totally different approaches to business and two totally different results. And which one makes you happier and which one makes you more appreciative and more valuable? Right?
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely, I think the initial consultation is pretty much everything. You can lay the groundwork for, basically having, getting them comfortable with you, preparing them for anything that could come up, and then, getting behind you as far as, spreading the word.
And then ask them, if this is comfortable, what do you think? How would you like to move forward? Would you like to go ahead and start the consultation? That's when you pull the carpet. That's when you pull the, that's when you pull the sheet off the limousine and they're like, damn, we almost went with that thing. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yep.
Make sense?
Oh, yeah.
That's my 2 cents. So when I'm done converting the replay, I will send out the replay as well as the turbulence letter and the 85 things that could go wrong.
Okay. All right. Awesome, man. I appreciate it.
You have to commit to using this with every client. Every client.
Yeah, I have one coming in now, so I'm going to get on it right away.
I know it won't be perfect, but you have to go through those bullet points and say it in your own style, but make sure you're saying it.
Yep.
Awesome,
all right,
brother.
perfect.
Have a great weekend. Enjoy your consultation. Say hi to Aaron for me. We'll talk to you next week, brother.